Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie. I am super excited to share with you my brand new scrapbooking workshop. I'm calling this one Vintage Christmas, and you'll see why in a moment. I did use the Sentimental Christmas suite to create these 6 pages, and we'll go through those together. Now, I did add some flowers. I just love flowers. If you've been here before, you know that I love flowers. And I went into my stash for this one. This is from Spellbinders. And this flower, the sprigs, and the candy cane just fit this suite perfectly. So I pulled this out and I did use this. Now, if you don't have this in your stash, and if you're here from Close to My Heart, you might have this one here. I've used this one time and time again, and I just thought it was time to use something different, and this one fit this collection perfectly. So we'll go through together how to create these beautiful flowers. Let's take a look at them right here. They are all shimmery and shiny. I did use the stamp here to add a few sentiment on my page, and I use the mini alphabet die for my title. So let's go through that very quickly, and then we'll have some fun and create some flowers. So this is the Spotlight on Nature. For this one here, I use this die right here for the white. And then if I flip this over, I actually use the same size, this one right here. And this one's got lines. And when you put them together, you get this really cool effect. I think it shows probably more on this one here. Hopefully the camera's picking up on that, but you see you have the little ridges right in the back. I just thought that it looked really, really neat. As opposed to making them take up a little bit more real estate, I just nestled them together. I really do like the detail that you get from that. Hopefully you can see it, but in real life, it's really good. Let's talk about this alphabet for just 1 second. It's really unique because it does cut everything in one go, so you're not cranking out each individual letters, and it does have double vowels in most cases, and it's just a perfect size, especially like I said, for longer titles. Now you're going to end up with extra letters, and what do you do with them? Well, this is what I've been doing right now. I'm only keeping the ones that are cut out of metallics and glitter, only because I just find that those are the ones I'm probably going to reuse. I did separate out all of the vowels in one little bag, and then I went from A, which is not A because it's in the vowels, but from A to J. I have no idea why I stopped at J, and then K to Z. And when I'm looking through here, it makes it a little bit easier to find my letters. Now, I'm not sure if you have this one in your stash, but how do you store them? Individually, or do you just toss them out? I just felt that I needed to keep them. So this is how I'm keeping mine. In this collection, you also have a really nice stamp set, and you have additional dies. And I'm going to show you how I use this stamp set for this layout here. Now, this piece was a little bland at the bottom, and I decided to do some random stamping, and I just used this one right here, and I did tone on tone. It's not in your face if you want, but it's there, and it just adds a little bit more detail to your page. And then even though these are probably meant for cards, I do feel that they work really well on this particular layout. So you've got Let's Celebrate the Season, and here I have a very Merry Christmas, and that was just enough to do this layout right here. I added some gold splatters on the base page here. Hopefully the light can pick up on all of the splatters. You have some here all the way around. And I did use my favorite metallic paints right here. They're nice and vibrant, and they just add a really nice touch of glimmer and glam to any layout. Let's take a look at these really gorgeous clusters and that beautiful poinsettia. Let's make one of these together, and you'll see how easy they are, and they look beautiful. So let me push this out of the way. Let's make this really pretty poinsettia together. Now this one here I cut 2, and it measures approximately 2.5. So I'm sure you have something in your stash, or you might have this one. This one has been sleeping in my stash for a little while, and I thought it was time to take it out. So let me just show you the difference between giving it a little bit of shape, and then if it's just flat. Let's create this beautiful poinsettia in about 3 easy steps. So the first step I am going to use is the metallic enamel effects. And I really like this. It dries fast, which is nice. And it actually spreads really nicely. So do you see that? That's just a tiny little bit that I'm going to put on my all-purpose mat. And I'm just going to wet my brush with water just to help spread this along. And I'm going to go right in and I am going to paint this on the base. And it's that simple. At the end, I like to give it a little pounce so that I don't see the brush strokes. And just like that, you have this really nice gold on the white leaf. So let's do that again. Added a tiny bit of water, mainly on my brush, only to help this spread a little bit faster. And you don't really need all that much. It all depends how gold you want this to be. And I actually want it to be a nice gold. I'm just kind of spreading this on, and this is what you get. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. So we're going to let these dry. When you're doing your layout, you're going to end up doing some for layout number 1 and layout number 2, and then just let them dry. So let me wipe down my surface. If you're using a paintbrush to apply this enamel effects, just make sure that you rinse out your paintbrush. And I'm just putting water on it. And when you squeeze it into your mat, do you see that I have a little bit of residue from it? And I'm just going to wipe that down. Now, I would give it a good wipe, not let anything dry on your brush, because you want to make sure that you can use that again. So I'm going to let these dry. And while these dries, if you're interested in getting your hands on the guide for this workshop, I have a few options for you. If you're in Canada, you can place an $80 order on my Stampin' Up! Website, and I will email you the assembly guide for free. If you're interested in joining Stampin' Up!, there is a really great joining promotion all month long. And by joining Stampin' Up! Through me, you will have access to all of my Stampin' Up! Guides for free. As a bonus, I've teamed up with my very good friend Chelsea, and each month we take turns in creating exclusive guides for both our customers and our team members. If you're looking for inspiration on how to use your products, I think you'll want to join us. So let's get back to our flower. This is pretty much dry. It dries quite quickly. You'll notice that this technique is really similar to the technique that Chelsea shared last month, and that is the beauty of us collaborating together. We often use similar products, so you get a bigger bang for your buck. So for my flowers here, I'm going to bring out some stickles. This was in my stash. It is the glistening color. Just look for gold, whatever you have. And I'm just going to add a little dollop on each of the bottom. Now you can either use your finger, and if you don't want to use your finger, I would just use my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of water again. And I'm just going to brush this on. And all of that shine is so good. I really love the way that this turned out. So let's do this one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm just going to spread that out, and we're just going to let this dry. So again, when you're doing your little assembly, you're going to have time in between these 2 layers to do all of your flowers. Now this is so pretty. It just goes with that vintage look perfectly. We're going to let these dry and set them aside, and then we'll shape them just a tiny little bit. Now, if you don't have this particular poinsettia, but you have this one here, and it did come with a die, so let me show you that very quickly. This one here, you can see that it's a little bit bigger, but this one here also works really, really nicely. And if you want to see how that one comes together, I will link down in the description box below a previous video where I show you how to create this beautiful flower if this is the one you plan on using. Now let's clean up our little brush here. Although we do like glimmer, we don't like it on our brush. I'm just going to wipe that down. And then I'm going to do my little test where I push the bristles into my all-purpose mat to make sure that I don't have any product on my brush. And we are good to go. Now I would still recommend running to the sink here and adding a little bit of mild soap just to make sure the bristles don't get hard on you. I'm going to let this dry and then we're going to shape this flower and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. So for the next step to shape this flower, and you can see that this mat has been loved quite a bit already, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind using my supplies that I have, but this is like a little foam cushion, but it's a harder foam. So this is the perfect little mat to create flowers on if you want to give them a little bit of dimension. I'm going to use this shaping tool here, and this is, I think it's for cakes. It's to shape fondant, but it actually works really well for these flowers. So I'm going to work from the back side, and be careful if you're using this one in particular because it can rip. And you can see here that I'm just kind of rubbing my tool on the back side. I just want to give it a little bit of shape. Now it's probably going to lose its shape in time. You can add some foam dots to make it stand out, but do you see how it kind of curls down at the moment? We're going to do that for both. And I'm just running it right in the center. Now you can rip this petal if you go too hard. So just go nice and slow and you'll get this kind of shape. Then in the center, I'm using the smaller nib right here. I am just going to push down on the center, and that's it. That's it for shaping these flowers. I think this is another reason why I wanted to use it, because it's only two and it shapes really, really nicely. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue in the center, and you don't need a lot, so just a little dot. And we're going to place them, and you just have to intersect the petals, and that's it. You just intersect the two petals, and because you're using liquid glue, you can move it around and make sure that it's in the right position. Now you can push it in if you want, but we don't want it to be too fluffy at this point because we do want to add it to our layout. The last step is to add these centerpieces. Now if you don't have, again, this particular flower, you can definitely add these gems. The smaller ones would fit right in the center, and this does come with the collection. But I'm going to add this one here just to show you how it's done in the layout. The tiny dimensionals are perfect for this here. So let me just grab one, and I'm going to add this right in the center. Right, I'm just going to place that right in the middle. Do you see that? That's it for that flower. Not a lot of work for such a great result. Let's take a look at layout number one more time. So here you have it, and here you have your flower. There's some nice gold going on and beautiful shimmer from these stickles, and I think that it just completes this page really, really nicely. So let's take a look at layout number two. For layout number two, the flowers are exactly the same. So as you're putting this workshop together, you can do 6 of these flowers, and then you're ready to go when you want to embellish. These ones here, I didn't add as much gold. You can see that these ones here are a little bit more yellow. Let's talk about this layout, and I will show you how I achieve this distressing look right here at the back. I did use this pretty awesome birch wood 3D embossing folder on these two pieces. I think it's just the perfect touch for this piece. This layout is pretty monochromatic, and that is a style that I gravitate to quite a bit, but I really, really love the way that it turned out. And I didn't have the pretty peacock glitter paper in my stash, but I did have the pine glitter paper, and I think that that works really well for this look. Now let's talk about this here and how I achieve that. I did bring in a different ink color than was recommended. Speaking of colors, these are the colors that I use to create this workshop, so you can take a screenshot if you'd like, and I will try and refer to them as I'm showing you in the layout. So for this layout here, I did ink distress all of the cut papers in Shaded Spruce, and then this one here I added Lost Lagoon. Now it's not part of the collection, but I did add it in because I felt that it really worked well for this treatment here. So let's do this treatment really quickly. It's so easy. And this is just a scratch piece of paper, and you'll need a little bag. So this is just, I get these at the dollar store. It's big enough to put my hand in here. So I think you can see where I'm going with this. I am going to use Lost Lagoon. I'm just going to add this to my mat, and I'm going to add quite a bit of water because I don't want it to be too dark. So see, this is quite a bit of water, and I'm just going to pick up this ink with the bag. So we're going to go right like this, and we are just going to spread out. You see how it looks like watercolor? And I can control where it goes because I can see through the bag. That is it for step one. And what I also wanted to do was to add a little bit of splatters. So I'm going to go back with my ink pad here, and I'm going to add just one little pump because I want these splatters to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to use my trusty fan brush, and I am going to tap with the same ink, but it's a little bit more condensed if you want. Here I added a lot of water, here I did not, and this is the look that you get. So let's pull the layout back. Here is the layout, and this is the technique, and it's really easy, and it just really complements the winter wonderland. Again, I use that really great alphabet die, and you can see here, even if it's a really long title, it really does fit. Here's the technique we did together, and you can see here that this one here's a little bit darker than this one. It depends on how much water you add. None of these will look the same. They will all be unique, and they will all look different. But I do like this on this layout here. So let's take a look at the last layout. Let's look at the last layout, and this one here is really so much fun. And yes, I did use this sheet right here, and the lantern has disappeared. Sometimes when you have two sheets of the same paper, it's not always easy to create a scrapbook layout that has a double page spread. But I think that this works really nicely. I did bring back this great embossing folder right at the bottom, and I did the same treatment as I did for the poinsettias, but this time here I used the metallic silver. Again, I used my brush, I added water on my brush, and I just lightly brushed this on, and it just gives it that nice little frosted look. And to finish it off, I added a little bit of stickles to give it that little shimmer and shine that you see right here at the bottom. Now for these flowers, they were done the same way. I did not use the gold on these ones here. I actually used the silver. It's really hard to see on camera. And then I found in my stash some copper stickles. Now I hope that you have some of these products in your stash, because we often have a lot of these and we just don't use them. So if you have them in your stash, dust them off and create these beautiful flowers. I hope that you love this workshop just as much as I do. I really do love the glamour and the vintage feel that all of these papers bring to these layouts. So you've got this blue one here, which gives you this really nice winter magic feel to the layout. And then if I bring back my green monochromatic layout, I really love this one too. I love the little treatment that we did here, and these flowers and the clusters are so good. For the first layout here, it's nice, it's festive, and it's super traditional. Again, if you're interested in this workshop, all of the details are listed down below. And for my international friends, you can go ahead and purchase this guide. There will be a PayPal link listed for you there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have yourself a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. If you're looking for a more contemporary look for your Christmas layouts this year, you might enjoy this workshop right here. See you there.